Greetings. I'm Dr. Jonathan Luckett. You've probably heard of Sam Altman. Sam is the CEO of OpenAI. OpenAI is the company that brought us ChatGPT and is doing pioneering work in the area of artificial intelligence. Recently, Sam wrote an article called The Intelligence Age. And this week, I use AI tools to dissect this article for us to better understand the issues and challenges that face the intelligence age.
Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time we're looking at a future absolutely dominated by AI, and we're basing all this on this really interesting article called The Intelligence Age. Have you seen this one?
Yeah, I actually have, and you're right. It's interesting. Feels kind of like you're reading science fiction sometimes, but it's all real, you know?
Yeah, it totally blurs the lines. Okay, so one thing that really jumped out at me right off the bat was this prediction about superintelligence happening in just thousands of days. Thousands. I mean, that's like right around the corner practically.
Yeah, that's a pretty wild claim. Makes you wonder, is that even possible? And if so, how?
Right, exactly. And the article actually does try to answer that how question, which I appreciated. It all comes down to this thing called deep learning. But honestly, I feel like that term gets thrown around so much these days, I'm not even sure I fully get it.
Yeah, it's one of those buzzwords everyone's talking about, but this article actually does a good job of explaining it, breaking it down in a way that makes sense.
Okay, so explain it to me then. Like, I get the basic idea, computers teaching themselves, but what does that actually mean? How does that work?
So imagine, instead of programming a computer step by step, you let it learn kind of like we do by observing and finding patterns. In deep learning, we feed these AI systems tons and tons of data. Could be images, text, anything really. And the AI, it starts to see patterns, make connections on its own without someone telling it exactly what to look for.
Huh. So it's like we're teaching computers to understand the world in a way, not just follow instructions.
Exactly. And the more data we give it, the smarter, or I guess more sophisticated it gets.
Yeah.
Like think about those recommendations you get on Netflix or Spotify. That's deep learning, figuring out what you like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I never thought of it like that. But that's happening now, and it's already pretty impressive. So this article is saying that's just the beginning. This deep learning thing could actually get us to superintelligence eventually.
Yeah, the article goes even further, saying superintelligence means an intelligence that's not just a little better than us, but way better in every way. Like understanding things not just faster, but deeper, being more creative, and solving problems in ways we can't even imagine.
Okay, now my head is spinning a little bit. So we have this incredibly powerful technology changing rapidly. It could literally change everything. But the article doesn't just ignore the scary parts, right? What about all the problems this could cause?
Yeah.
Exactly. Like superintelligence could have downsides too. Movies have made us all a little afraid of that, right? So what does this article say about the potential downsides to all this?
Well, one of the biggest concerns that the article dives right into is jobs.
Right.
If AI can automate complex tasks, what happens to all the people doing those jobs? It's a valid question. And the article doesn't pretend like there won't be any impact there. There definitely will be some shifts.
Like with self-driving trucks, for example. If that technology really takes off, it's going to be a huge change for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great example.
Millions of drivers potentially out of work.
Exactly. But here's where the article gets really interesting, I think. It says, yeah, some jobs will probably disappear, but at the same time, all this AI is going to create all kinds of new jobs, jobs we can't even imagine right now.
I see what you mean. It's like, imagine trying to explain social media marketing to someone back in the 1950s. Their minds would be blown. They wouldn't even get it.
Exactly. It's hard to even picture what those new jobs might look like, but we can see some possibilities already starting up. Like we'll need people who specialize in AI ethics, data security, things like that. This whole field of prompt engineering is popping up. And that's probably just the tip of the iceberg, you know?
So the article is basically saying it's not going to be humans versus machines. It's going to be humans working with AI, and that'll lead to benefits for everyone.
Yeah, that's the gist of it. They actually use the phrase massive prosperity, like a golden age, driven by AI. It's a pretty optimistic view.
Massive prosperity. Well, I like the sound of that. But honestly, that almost makes me more skeptical. Will everyone actually benefit?
Yeah.
Or will this just make the gap between the haves and have-nots even bigger?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And to be fair to the article, it does address that concern head on. It argues that the key is making sure everyone has access to the foundations of AI, not just a select few.
Okay, so what does that mean exactly? Foundations of AI, what are we talking about here?
Basically, the raw materials that AI needs to thrive. The article focuses on two big ones: computing power and energy. Making those cheap and plentiful, available to everyone, that's crucial, according to the article. Because if only the wealthiest, most powerful people have access to that stuff, then yeah, you're right. All this amazing AI potential could end up benefiting just a tiny elite.
So we're not just talking about the AI itself, right? We're talking about how it gets built, who gets to use it, all of that. That's a lot of responsibility.
It is, yeah. And that's actually a point that article really emphasizes. Like, this isn't something that just happens to us. We're not passive bystanders or whatever. We actually get to make choices that shape how this whole AI thing plays out.
I like that. It's like we have the map and we get to choose where this road trip goes. Except, the stakes are a bit higher than your average road trip.
That's one way to put it. No pressure, humanity, but the entire future of intelligence is riding on this.
Right. But okay, so where do we even start? If we have this power, what do we do with it?
Well, that's where it gets even more interesting, because the article doesn't just say, hey, build more AI, everything will be great. It actually dives into the ethical side of things. Like, if we could solve any problem with this technology, where should we even begin?
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, that's a big one.
Right. It's like you have this magic wand, but choosing what to do with it, that's the real challenge.
Totally. So what does the article say? What should our top priority be?
It doesn't actually give a simple answer, and I think that's smart because there isn't one. But it does suggest that figuring out which problems AI should tackle first, well, that's going to require some serious conversations, global conversations even. We'll need to think about ethics, create frameworks for using AI responsibly, maybe even rethink some of our values as a society.
I've got to say, this deep dive has been quite a journey. I started off thinking we'd be talking about like self-driving cars and Netflix recommendations. And now we're here debating the fate of humanity and stuff.
Huh. That's what I love about exploring these topics, though. You never know where you'll end up. But it's important, because these aren't just hypotheticals anymore. This is the future that's coming, whether we're ready or not.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, to everyone listening, if you want to go even deeper on this, definitely check out the full article, The Intelligence Age. It'll give you a lot to think about, I promise.
It will, yeah. And maybe even inspire you to help build that future we keep talking about.
Well said. Okay, until next time, everyone, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
I hope you enjoyed this deep dive on Sam Altman's piece, The Intelligence Age. If you like this content, consider subscribing to this channel.